How to Improve Absolutely Anything by Katie Labedz. Chapter 8. It's Not All About You, the SIPOC tool. Have you ever been in a situation when, oops, you forgot to invite someone to a party or a meeting? Maybe you made a change with the pickup routine for your kids, but you forgot to tell the school. Perhaps you changed a process at work to the way you thought it would be better, but you actually made your coworker's job harder as a result. When we are trying hard to make improvements, we can get so excited and caught up in the moment that we may forget to look outside our own bubble to discover that others may be impacted both positively or negatively. Remember that manual report that you were working on fixing when we spoke about PDCA? You went through all the steps, automated it, added in error checking, and now it's electronically delivered to your boss on time every week. What you may not have thought about was the fact that the information in that report is used by your boss to analyze and summarize to send to the CEO. The new format you created during the automation process sends your boss a PDF. And we all know you can't do much with a PDF. The way you used to complete the report provided the document to your boss in Excel. Though you're trying to be more efficient, you actually forgot to ask your boss what she needs in order to do her job. Maybe you created an awesome Kanban board for work. Your team was using it every day. It was awesome. You decided to make an electronic version of it, but you forgot that a couple of your team members don't have access to that system. Or maybe if a few of your team members are colorblind and they can't see all the neat color coding indicators on the virtual board. True story. We get mail order prescriptions at our house, and the delivery arrives a few days before we're supposed to run out of our medicines. When my husband received the new prescription bottle, he would pour its contents into the old bottle with the remaining pills. Then he would throw out the new bottle that is now empty. It seems like a fairly meaningless task, right? Yes, until we could no longer determine how many refills he had on his medicine. The new labels were thrown out with the new bottles, leaving us with only the original label on the original bottle. And this was way before online refills were a thing. Some of the old bottles were years old, prescribed by doctors he no longer saw. And this shows you how long he'd been doing that process. The same applies when other people are trying to implement concepts or processes for improvement, and they accidentally negatively impact you. For example, after reviewing a year's worth of data for their customer flow, the local dealership decides to change their hours for the quick lube station. They now stay open late one day a week, and they no longer have hours on Saturday. It might be an improvement for them, but the night that they're open late is the same evening that your child has gymnastics. You work during the day, leaving no possibility for you to take in your car. Ugh. How about this? Your partner decides to organize your kitchen pantry over the weekend. Maybe even when you went away on a business trip or to visit your parents. Your partner is so proud, delighted to show you all the things that have been improved. Then they leave for work on Monday morning while you're getting the kids ready for school. You start the breakfast routine, you open the pantry to get the kids cereal for breakfast. Your partner moves the Cocoa Puffs to the top shelf, but you can't reach that high without standing on a chair. Oops. Good intentions, but your partner didn't think about anyone else in the house that requires access to those Cocoa Puffs. How can you prevent and overcome these situations? Use the SIPOC tool. SIPOC provides you with an overarching view of a process, and it allows you to see who might be impacted by a change. My team typically creates a SIPOC tool on a whiteboard, physically or virtually, or on a blank page in a presentation software. The goal is not about being pretty. but it's about getting the task done to serve its purpose. On average, these should take less than 30 minutes to complete. SIPOC stands for suppliers, inputs, processes, outputs, and customers. So contrary to how we read words on a page from left to right, we start the SIPOC directly in the middle with the P for process. Process. This step grounds us in the knowledge of what we're here to discuss. Think of it like a teeter-totter or a fulcrum. The process is the pivotal point required for the tool to work. Remember, a process is a method that transforms inputs into outputs. To begin the SIPOC tool, we want to describe our process at a very high level, 5 to 7 steps only. Think of how you would describe this process to your partner, friends, or parents. Keep it simple. If you are describing the process you follow to make breakfast, you won't describe how you open the utensil drawer, pull out the spoon, place it on the counter, close the drawer, and on and on and on. No, you might say that you grab the spoon, get the cereal bowl, and sit down at the table. This is not a time to examine the opportunities in each step of your process. Just give an overview to get high-level understanding. If you can't describe your process in 5 to 7 steps, then you might be trying to boil the ocean, meaning tackling too big of a process. Scale it back. Let's consider the process of feeding the dog. Step 1, get the dog bowl. Step 2, open the pantry. Step 3, fill the bowl. And step 4, call the dog. But let's be real here, you don't have to call most dogs to eat. If we were running a pizza place, our pizza process might look like this. Step 1, receive the order. Step 2, prepare the dough. Step 3, add the sauce. Step 4, add the toppings. Step 5, bake in the oven. Step 6, remove from the oven. And step 7, serve. Notice in the pizza example, I didn't include things like answer the phone to talk to the customer or enter the order in the computer system. I also didn't include going to the refrigerator to get the dough or tossing the dough in the air to make your pizza pie. We are operating from a high level here, people. The nitty-gritty details are for another tool. Now that we have our high-level process, the P step is complete, and you move on to the O. Outputs. What comes out of each step? What is produced? What do we get? These are outputs, and they can be physical or virtual, including actions and outcomes. For feeding the dog, the outputs would be the dog eats and the dog fertilizes the garden. You get it. Stuff happens. For our pizza place, the outputs would be a perfectly baked pizza, a completed order, and dirty dishes. Now we move on to the letter C, customers. This category includes anyone, a person, an entity, a company, etc., that consumes your outputs. Your customers are the people who buy your product or service or anyone impacted by your process. Remember to think past the first person who will receive your work. You may give it to your boss, but they will also share it with the CEO of your company. You might manufacture parts to sell to company X, but if the government has hired them to produce the final product, then the government is also your customer. For feeding the dog, your customers would be the dog, the family, and the garden. For the pizza example, your customers could be dine-in, carry-out, and delivery. We have completed the P, O, and C, and now it's time for the I and S, inputs and suppliers. Inputs. Let's talk about inputs first. Inputs are everything required to successfully complete your product or outcome for your customers. It can be physical materials as well as virtual information, like a Kanban signal or an online order. It could even be a person. We certainly need the chef in order to complete the custom dinner menu. For feeding the dog, the inputs would be dog food, hungry dog, empty bowl, a specific time, like maybe you feed your dog every day at 5 o'clock, and a human dog feeder. Let's face it, that's normally me. For the pizza example, the inputs would be, we need a customer order, we need dough, spices, toppings, cheese, and oil for the pan. Finally, let's review the S, suppliers. Suppliers, these are the people who help to kick off the process. The people, companies, agencies, etc., that supply your inputs. Our suppliers might include the grocery store where you buy your bananas, the vendor where you get your nuts and bolts, the government that funds your project, your kid's school district who hires and dispatches the bus drivers to transport your kids to school on time. Even you, the one that feeds the dog. For feeding the dog, the suppliers would be, number one, the grocery store, like Publix, the best grocery store ever. Number two, you, because without you, none of this is possible. For making that beautiful, warm, and cheesy, delectable pizza, the suppliers are Vegetable Farmers United, Cisco, and Lamers Dairy. Hello, my fellow Wisconsinites. When we put it all together, we have a fantastic, thorough, overall view of our process, whom it impacts, and what we need to get it done. Perhaps now you can also see why it's important to start with the P step or process step. If we first asked who are the suppliers, we would have so many questions. Suppliers of what? For what? If we don't know the process that we're talking about, then it would be very hard to complete the rest of the steps. Remember, SIPOC we do in the order of POCUS, P-O-C-I-S. When I work with a team to create a SIPOC for a process we're trying to improve, I hear this type of feedback. Wow, I had no idea my step in the process impacted this department or that person. I didn't realize that when I went to change that step, I had to tell somebody else about it. I just assumed that we didn't need it for X, Y, or Z. I didn't know that the customer saw that. What would a SIPOC look like for your current process? Can you do a SIPOC for the way that you manage your kids' homework assignment? How about a SIPOC for how you make dinner or bake cookies? Would yours look like mine? Yours will probably be different, and that's okay. That's the beauty of continuous improvement at a personal level. Create a SIPOC for one of your processes. Just give it a try. Reflect on your process to see what you may have been missing when you're looking at it through a smaller lens. Then I want you to take a look at and identify where you're doing a great job and where you can improve. What are your strengths and where are your weaknesses? Is there a trend?